Hey everyone, my question today is where are we? What's happening? My name is Mike Rennick. This is my promise to introduce and continue to share Longboat Key with you. My guest, you've seen him many times, is Steve Reid. He's the owner and publisher of the Longboat Key News. Steve, thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Oh, glad to be here. It's one of my favorite spots.
So where are we today?
Well, we're on the beach. We're on the beach in front of the former Colony Beach and Tennis Resort. And as you can see, there's not much left. What you're looking at is the MidRise building. And that's was the tallest structure at the Colony. The rest of the 237 units that made the Colony up for 40 years, over 40 years, it ran as a tennis resort, one of the #1 rated resorts in the country, for tennis certainly. Al Gore stayed here, President George Bush stayed here.
Actually, the night before 9/11.
That's right.
George was here.
George Bush slept here.
So what's going on? It looks like it's gone.
This will come down next week, I'm told. I spoke to the head of the demolition crew that was working here all last week, and this will come down in about 3 or 4 days. So that was the MidRise, and the top 2 floors were occupied by Murph Clauber, who was the general manager. He had his office and his residence there for decades, and it was also the entrance to the hotel lobby. You see there's a little portico on the right. That was the entrance to the hotel, and there's a pit here that was the pool.
Yep.
That once had mermaids swimming in it, serving drinks during stone crab festivals. All that's gone. That's what's left with the demolition. And then,
well, what's going to happen now? The Colony is gone. What are the next steps?
well, nothing happens on this property without heading to court first. That's been kind of the rule of thumb for the last 10 or 12 years. It closed in 2010 amid lawsuits, amid infighting between the management and the homeowner association. Homeowner association worked out an agreement with Unicorn, which is a company out of Orlando. President is Chuck Whitall, and they have a redevelopment plan that was approved by the town. The town of Longboat Key approved a redevelopment plan for a 165-room St. Regis flagged hotel and 103 St. Regis condominiums.
So it's going to be a mixed use.
It'll be mixed use with a lot of shared amenities, about the same density, more residential use.
Okay.
Before it was 237 tourism units, now 165 and 103 residential units, with they're hoping to do pre-sales or sales of the penthouses in the $10 million range. That's where they see them coming to market at.
Well, you share they're about to go back to court, so it sounds like there's at least one more hurdle to clear?
One last hurdle. The permit for that approved redevelopment plan will not be issued until all of the property is owned by Unicorn. It has to have ownership consolidation.
Okay.
So there's Whitall and Unicorp have worked out an agreement with all of the owners for all of the units except for those owned by Andy Adams. Andy Adams, though, owns quite a few. He owns in the neighborhood of about 70 units.
Okay.
So a good 30% of... Now, Chuck owns a lot of the commercial stuff. He owned the restaurant, the tennis courts, the spa. He owns about 30 units of his own, and he has an agreement with everyone else for the rest.
Okay.
They have not reached an agreement. They've tried for 5 years. You know, obviously Andy wants this much, Chuck's offered maybe this much, and then when Chuck offered this much, Andy wants this much. It's been that kind of negotiation from what I understand.
When you talk about ownership and we look here, it's gone. So
there's no functioning resort anymore.
Right.
So what has to happen is Whitall on January 10th, he's filed a court initiated procedure to terminate the condominium.
Okay. The association?
Yeah, the condominium association. And then the judge, what he's hoping will happen, will compel the sale, because his argument is we've been trying in good faith for 5 years. There is a market price that's been established by the rest of the owners who have agreed with me. And if not, I guess we can go to auction and bid on the units. But at any rate, it will not happen outside of that proceeding. That'll be his argument. I can't speak for Andy Adams and how he will counteract that argument or what will happen, because as you know, you get a bunch of attorneys in a room making arguments and you get a judge, different outcomes can occur. When I speak with Chuck Whittall, he's very confident that by next summer 2019, ownership will be consolidated and construction should begin by the end of the year, by the end of next year.
So we still have another year of what we see here.
Well, no, what you see here is the demolition, and that'll be completed within a month.
Okay.
All this rubble will be cleared. There will be a better looking fence around the property. It'll be grassed and seeded.
Oh, okay.
And right now, Whittall and Unicorp is seeking approval from the town to put a little sales center up along the beach on the northern end of the property there. And they want to be able to do pre-sales of the condominiums. And so that's sort of the latest news. The town asked staff to figure out a way maybe to accommodate that, because right now you need to have a building permit to be allowed to do that. So they're looking to see if there's some flexibility in order to make that happen.
When is the trial date set that you shared?
January 10.
Okay.
January 10, I don't know if I call it a trial, it's a hearing. And they're going to discuss, they'll hear the arguments, there'll be a response from Andy Adams, and on Longboat Key News, and I'm sure we'll do a follow-up, we'll be posting the stories, we'll be looking at the documents going through the court system and updating, because what'll happen is Andy Adams will respond to all of the arguments from Unicorp, and we'll get a better feel for what he's going to ask the judge to do.
Excellent.
Okay?
So in the past, we've shared the final days of the colony. We did the final sunset. We got to walk through the buildings. A couple of weeks later, we came back for the fire. We titled it, "This Girl is going to Go Down on Her Own Terms." Going forward, what we're going to talk about is the future.
That's right.
And there's a lot of good things happening on this island. Eric, pan around for just a second to the Gulf right now. I mean, just being able to stand here, one of these days we'll get Eric out on this side of the camera.
One thing to point out here, Mike, is this has always been one of the best beaches in the area. The groin, there you'll see that cement structure over there. Maybe if you pan over there, has a whole story of its own. Murph Clauber petitioned the state for that and got approval. They tried to rip it out, and he won in court the right to keep it. And it's anchored a really beautiful beach, which St. Regis will get to enjoy, or any other future owner. So it's a very beautiful beach, and there's no red tide. No red tide today, which is a really nice thing. It's the air is beautiful. So you know, it's a little bit of a sad thing to see this go, but I think people will see a St. Regis, which will be a real signature resort. If Unicorp, if it happens the way Chuck hopes it to happen, we will see a 5-story. That'll be the height, about the same. This is 5 stories. It'll be 5 stories over parking. And you will see a hotel, the lazy river, you'll see these condominiums, a lot of lush landscaping. I think it's going to be a good thing for the whole region.
We've looked at a closed colony for a lot of years, so going forward, this is all good news.
This is good news, yeah.
We'll be back with future editions, talking more about what's happening not only at the new colony or St. Regis, but other things on the island. Steve, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
I really enjoy having you spending your time with us and sharing your
Let's
background.
come back when we have a nice park setting, and then we'll talk about the ownership and what's going on.
We'll do that again. Thank you.
Great. See
Take
you
care.
soon.
Yep,
Thanks.